If you think about uh, veterans in business, they're about 3 times as likely to be the CEO of a business. Their tenures as CEOs of publicly traded companies are significantly longer than other people who serve in the same role. They tend to have much fewer problems with regards to ethics and compliance. Their businesses tend to outperform their peers. And so you could make an argument that if you had a portfolio of veteran-led companies and a portfolio that was led by non-veterans, that the veteran-led portfolio would outperform the non-veteran-led portfolio. So we started to focus upon that and work exclusively with veteran-led companies. I renamed the business VeteranCrowd. There were a lot of other things that went on during that period of time, but you know, it really came down to, this: why veterans? So what do we know about veterans? They're team players. They can focus on an objective. They can plan. They can communicate. They can get teams of people organized and make them cohesive and get them to work together towards those objectives. And the two things that are near and dear to me is that they have a heightened sense of ethics and they have personal accountability. I was interviewed about a week ago by a freelance writer who writes for the Washington Post and the Atlantic, among others. And she was working on an article about why the veterans and the military are the most trusted um, enterprise, if you will, in the United States. And going back to the 80s and post-Vietnam, my experience was that, there really was a sea change starting about the time that Ronald Reagan became president. And, at the opposite end of the spectrum of organizations like Congress. And so we had an interesting discussion about personal accountability. And I think that that's probably the one thing that I can point to about veterans that make them different and make them so respected by a broad range of um, our population.